All right, we will call this meeting to order, Agenda and Priorities meeting for September the 5th, and I will ask Councillor Bates to please read the land acknowledgement.
The town of Innisfail acknowledges that we are meeting on Treaty 7 territory, the ancestral and traditional territory of the Blackfoot Confederacy, Kainai, Piikani, and Siksika, as well as the Tsuut'ina First Nation and Stoney Nakoda First Nation. We acknowledge that this territory is home to the Métis Nation of Alberta Region 3 within the historical Northwest Métis homeland. We acknowledge the many nations, Métis and Inuit, who have lived and cared for these lands for generations. We are grateful for the traditional knowledge keepers and elders who are still with us today and those who have gone before us. We make this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation and gratitude to those whose territory we reside on.
All right, thank you. And are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Yes, there is. Mayor Barclay suggesting an in-camera item for, it's called the Aquatic Center Government Funding, the MGA Section 197.2, Freedom of Information Privacy Acts, 24(1)G, please.
All right, thank you. Could I please have someone make a motion to move the agenda as amended? Councillor Dunham? Oh, sorry. Councillor Harrison, somebody. I can't see down there.
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. I'd so move.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Harrison. All in favor? All right, thanks. And we'll move into 3.1 with Strategic Priorities Update with CEO Becker.
Thanks, Mayor Barclay. Just administration has initiated as of this morning the updates from an administrative perspective, the strategic priorities. Obviously, leading into your strategic planning session would be certainly to confirm your council's priorities. So on the 18th, we're going to come back to you and likely dedicate the majority of that meeting, of the A&P meeting on the 18th, to strat planning. That's occurring on the 21st. Also to talk about the priorities, which will be a good lead into your 21st meeting. So just today, council will be for information.
Great, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for CEO Becker? No, I'll please have somebody make a motion that we accept the strategic priorities as information then, please.
I'll make that motion, Mayor Barclay.
Thank you, Councillor Wing. All in favor? All right, carried. And we'll go into 3.2 and upcoming events. And if there's no changes, I please.
One correction, please, and this was probably confusing when I brought it up at our last meeting. The Chamber of Commerce has moved their monthly meeting, so we are now meeting as posted here. The Chamber of on September the 21st at noon. That's actually the Chamber of Commerce board meeting, not the committee meeting. And then the Chamber of Commerce board that's listed for the September the 13th comes right off. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Councillor Heistad?
Your Worship, I have a meeting, just update for this week. September 6th is the historical village meeting at 7 p.m.
Okay, could I please have someone make a motion that we accept the upcoming events as information, please, as amended? Councillor Bates?
I'll make that motion, and I'll also add that we've been made aware the MPC is cancelled for tomorrow.
Okay, all right, thank you. All in favor? All right, carried. Then we will go into 3.3, Transportation Committee with Director Jenkins.
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. So we're just looking to get some feedback and discussion from council regarding the Transportation Standing Committee and whether we want to see that committee continue or potentially have the duties that they had taken on rolled in with the Community Services Standing Committee. So the Transportation Standing Committee was established to provide guidance and recommendation to council and administration to ensure that transportation options provided by the service providers, being the town and Legion, are sustainable and meeting the needs of residents. The Legion no longer operates the PACE transportation service, and administration is recommending that the committee be resolved. If dissolved, if community input is still desired on issues relating to transportation service delivery matters, this could be forwarded to the Community Services Standing Committee. That committee currently provides community perspectives on issues of community and future recreation and culture facilities, community parks and trails, social and recreational programming, cultural activities and events, community beautification initiatives, and anything else referred to the committee by council. So just looking for some input. If council is supportive of administration's direction, a draft of a new council procedure bylaw to remove that committee will be brought forth in future, to a future meeting.
All right, thank you, Director Jenkins. Anybody have any feedback? Councillor Dunham?
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. Through to Director Jenkins. I'm fully for dissolving it as part of the CSS committee. We definitely, our focus as of the last couple of years has been on awarding grants and things like that. And it did come to my attention that previously the breadth of what the responsibilities were include a lot of what's listed here. So I think it would be good for us to maybe get that back underneath, and anything going forward would fall under CSSC. So.
Great. I will add that the current public members of the Transportation Committee have been notified that this was coming forward to council today.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Heistad?
Yeah, to Director Jenkins, my question would be, is those committee members, how did were they okay with the change, or was there any feedback from them?
We only received feedback from one of the two members, and they basically recognized that due to the no longer the role with the Legion, that there's less of a direct involvement for the committee to be discussing. So.
Yeah, no, thanks for that. I would agree with Councillor Dunham, dissolving the Transportation Committee, but just curious what the other committee members had stated. Thanks a lot.
Councillor Harrison?
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. I would also support the dissolution of the committee. I think it's served its purpose very well over the years, and I think it's time now that we expand the committee duties for the Community Services Committee. So I certainly support the dissolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well, I'm going to take the other avenue here. I don't support the dissolution of the committee. I think transportation, needs to be somewhat of a priority. We've made some pretty big changes here the last while. And I think working with neighboring communities and, looking at regional transit and how do we get people around, I think is going to become more and more and more important, especially if we want to grow this community. So I think there's a real need for the Transportation Committee, and I know that puts some pressure on administration to look after it, but that's kind of where I feel, and I think there's a lot under CSSC already, and sometimes when we have another committee, it kind of brings some more viewpoints to the table as well, and people that are particularly interested in that topic. So those are just my thoughts. Councillor Bates?
My opinion, I guess, I know we've done some pretty big things with the PACE. We've gotten rid of the main bus. To me, it would hinge on the ability of, I think we're probably not going to do a whole lot for a short time. To me, it hinges on the ability of the Community Standing Committee, if they feel they can do it. And I'm not seeing a lot on the short horizon, so I would personally support the amalgamation and then reassess if CCS, I can't remember the anachronism, if they can't handle it, then you can always reestablish it, would be my opinion.
Councillor Wing?
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. I actually support your thoughts, Mayor Barclay, on this. I agree with the concerns around regional transportation, and certainly the work of the Standing Committee as it has existed will be changing. So potentially what maybe needs to happen first would be a review of their terms of reference, and maybe that happens after we have our strategic planning session. So I don't know whether we table this particular one until after we've had a conversation and see where transportation sort of falls out on our own list of priorities, but it's hard to get committees up and running again. So I guess if there's no meetings to be had, there's no meetings, but if there's a reason for us to keep the committee, that will serve the strategic plan of council, then I would suggest we keep them.
Thank you. And Director Jenkins, going forward sometime maybe at strat plan or prior, I wouldn't mind some feedback on a few of the committees, like where's age friendly at? I know the Emergency Advisory Committee, I think that's a must, but how often do we meet? The Innisfail Joint Use Committee, I don't know if there's been many meetings. Do we want to continue on external committees like the Historical Village when we have no vote? The Municipal Development Plan, Red Deer County, I don't think we've had a meeting this term yet on any of that. Not sure where things are at with Parkland, and then, of course, this committee too. So I would like to see us review some of these committees and kind of see where things are at before we reassign committees too, because that's going to happen for our organizational meeting in October. We'll be changing up council reps on committees. Councillor Heistad.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. As to Community Services Standing Committee, was that committee given the heads up that dissolution of transportation to possibly
No.
take on those roles?
We have not had discussion with that,
Okay.
that committee as to how the terms of reference could be adjusted.
Okay, then hearing that, I would be in favor of tabling it. I'd make a motion to table this resolution or motion until we have our strategic plan or strategic meeting.
Yeah, we just need a motion that we're accepting this as information today.
Yeah, I'll make that motion as for information today.
Yeah, sounds good.
Thanks.
Any further discussion? Councillor Bates?
Yeah, I'll just add, having heard the discussion, that if the current one can sit dormant when it's not needed, then there's no rush.
Yeah, I think though there need to be a change to the terms of reference. Does it specifically state the Legion in there? And
does.
yes, so
The current committee identifies one member of council and one alternate, the Royal Canadian Legion,
Yeah.
and 2 citizen representatives. So we would probably want to look at a different
yeah,
makeup of that committee and what we would want them to be looking at.
yeah. I'm just wondering too, Director Jenkins, with the feedback we're receiving on the transportation system right now, like, you know, it's kind of an important time to make sure we get that right, and I know you're on top of that, so. Okay, so we have a motion that we will accept this as information for today, and then we can move on after that. So all in favor? Okay, perfect. Then we'll move into the CAEP Delegation Summit with CEO Becker, please.
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. Just an information item for council. As you're previously informed, that CAEP has coordinated a Central Alberta India delegation summit, October 10th to 13th in the Innisfail area, Innisfail, Bowden, Trochu, Olds, Sundre area. So not all of the CAEP zone. While CAEP members have the opportunity to participate in different parts of the summit, the town of Innisfail is hosting, or has the opportunity to host, India delegates during the afternoon on October the 10th. The town will be splitting that afternoon with the town of Bowden. It is expected that the delegation will be traveling to Bowden on through to Innisfail, and where Innisfail has the opportunity to engage with up to, currently the list is up to 24 delegates from India, could be larger, to showcase Innisfail. Innisfail will be coordinating with Bowden about the split time, but Innisfail can hang on to the delegates as long as we desire to, so we can extend it further into evening if desired, or make it just an afternoon engagement. So really, this report is just to get you a little bit more information on what's occurring on October 10th. However, there's a lot of information yet to be coordinated with CAEP and through Bowden on what that day looks like. We're expecting to receive delegate profiles upcoming in the next 2 to 3 weeks, which will help us solidify the logistics on how we want to engage those visitors from India. So if there's any questions of council, it's really for your information at this point.
All right, thank you, CEO Becker. Does anybody have any questions about this? No? Okay, then, oh, sorry, Councillor Heistad.
Yeah, Your Worship. CEO Becker was talking about potential to have more time with the delegation. So is that something through administration and the mayor? Have you thought about doing some extra work with them? Because I think it'd be a shame to just do a quick kind of drive-by with a group that's traveling so far and maybe an evening or just an opportunity for us to get to meet them and really immerse them into Innisfail and the culture that we have in this area. That'd be a great opportunity if we're able to do that. That's what I was thinking.
Mayor Barclay, Councillor Heistad, what I anticipate, the administration will come up with a draft itinerary for council consideration. It'll be up to you, council, how you decide if you want to do extended engagements, a little bit more showcase, or do you want to, or do we just do that, is spend a couple hours to tour the community, or do you want to have a more formal activity? That'd be up to you according to budget.
Thanks.
Okay, any other questions? No, then I'll please have somebody make the recommended motion. Councillor Dunham.
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. I'll move that council approve the CAP Delegation Summit information as information.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Okay, carried. And then we'll go on to 3.5 with Director Jenkins.
Thank you. So just wanted to bring attention, council would have had a couple of pieces of material relevant to the Imagine Innisfail, the Municipal Development Plan review process. So this piece of information is basically kind of a backgrounder and is going to be formally launched next Tuesday at the registration night is when we'll be launching the survey and really getting this information out. Staff will be there to discuss the ongoing process, as well as encourage people to take the survey starting on September 12th. If you go through the document, it gives a lot of background on what the MDP is, where we're at in the process, which essentially is sort of the public engagement, imagining the future phase of the process, discusses the vision that has been established by the MDP committee, and provides some more information about some of the considerations that the committee wants more specific public input. There is a website or web page developed on the website now. The QR code on the back allows access. There's both a short form and a long form survey. So the short form survey is what is intended sort of for anyone and everyone to fill out. The longer form survey is a bit more involved with a bit more detail that will be targeted to specific stakeholders to take that survey. So with the Doors Open event that the Historical Village is hosting on September 23rd, or I guess hosting it with any participating businesses, the town office is going to be a stop or a point on that Doors Open event where businesses across the community are inviting community members in to see their operations and to learn about the history of their businesses or their buildings. So we were doing that here at the town office anyways, so we will be piggybacking sort of an MDP open house event along with that here in council chambers. So again, having the information, having the surveys and people available to discuss that process with individuals.
Okay, thank you, Director Jenkins. And just so everybody knows, council's invited to be here that day in council chambers. I'm also wondering, is there a couple of boards that could be put up? Could we have like a VARMA information board? Is that possible? And potentially an aquatic center information board, or like just for discussion purposes, I guess, and just some of the work we've done the last year, couple of years.
Yeah, let's see what I can find, Mayor Barclay, for boards.
Well, I don't know.
I know we have a pool board, but
Yeah, or whatever. If we had some, maybe even material that people could take or something and talk about people and talk about that kind of thing. Councillor Wing.
Thanks, Mayor Barclay, and through to Director Jenkins. The Municipal Development Advisory Committee doesn't meet until the 19th, so would it be possible for this information, to, especially about the registration night, to be sent out to them in advance, just so that if they show up or they don't miss something? That would be great, thanks.
For sure. Yeah.
Are we also going to get an opportunity to see like the work so far that the MDP committee has done at council? And kind of a review, or is this
Yeah,
it? The
this-
booklet,
this
is
is-
it?
this is
Okay,
where,
okay, okay,
Sort of
Okay.
that center timeline.
Okay,
The
perfect.
MDP committee has worked through sort of establishing a vision, going through some of the background documents. And yeah, now this is the public engagement phase, which will feed into the sort of initial drafting of the
Okay.
document.
Yeah, thanks, Director Jenkins. Looks great. Councillor Harrison?
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. And just a question through to Director Jenkins. In the vision statement here, why was 2054 chosen? That's 30 years out, and that's my book, that's a long time. I'll never see it. My grandchildren may see it.
That's the typical kind of timeline for a plan like this, to be visionary and to be long-term in its scope. So that's often what, though it would be revisited probably every 10-ish years, that's often, whether it's our sort of intermunicipal or MDP level of plan, that's the time horizon that we're trying to look at, that it is long-term and that it is strategic in nature.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Could I please have someone then make a motion that we accept this as information?
Mayor Barclay, I would move that council approve the, oops, wrong one. I'm on the wrong page. That council accept the report for information.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? All right, carried. And we will move into correspondence and information. It's pretty slim. I think the event was canceled. The Prohibition event is canceled. Yeah. That's what I was told at the grocery store. So,
I learned it on the golf course.
okay, there you go.
The speculation was seeming lack of interest and possible lack of people having discretionary funds.
Okay, please have someone make a motion that we accept the correspondence and,
Just,
Councillor Harrison?
just, thank you, Mayor Barclay. Just a question. On the letter from the minister, he refers to, there's been no application that's been discontinued. They're continuing on to get approvals. Have we checked with our sources that our application for our solar farm is still in the queue and it's being processed?
we haven't put an application in yet.
We haven't got, oh,
No,
okay.
No, we're
That answers my question.
just at the
you.
assessment stage.
Okay.
It's ready to go to, it's a budget discussion primarily, right? Like we're
Okay.
at that point where we need to approve
Okay, thank you.
that project, so. But they will take the applications and get them to a certain stage without approving them over the next, I guess we're down to 5 months now. Okay, can I please have a motion to accept the correspondence and information, please? Councillor Bates?
Sure, I'll make the motion that we accept that as information
Okay,
with the acknowledgement that the one is canceled.
Thank you. All in favor? All right, carried. Then we will go to round table, starting with Councillor Dunham today.
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. Last week, I attended the Autumn Grove Open House. It was wonderful after this many years of it being open, actually, to get a tour of it. I had been in before, just into the main reception area there, but to actually see the facility was quite something, and it's quite a building. And let's hope that we can get another one, maybe even a little bit bigger in the future. Also attended the Horseshoe Night with the Horseshoe Club and discovered that I quite enjoy throwing some horseshoes. I didn't get a ringer like some of the other councillors did, but I definitely enjoyed myself, and I will definitely be going back and joining them again.
Perfect, thank you. Councillor Harrison?
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. I also attended the Autumn Grove re-grand opening, and it was very enjoyable. I also attended the horseshoes, and I didn't get a ringer. I just got my butt thoroughly kicked in a lesson in horseshoes. So. And I'll probably be going back in the spring. So I thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Wing?
Competitive around here at all, are we? So last week I participated in the Parkland Regional Library Executive Director Compensation Review and Salary Grid meeting, which was why I was not able to attend the Autumn Grove opening. The Innisfail Public Library monthly meeting and the Chamber of Commerce strategic planning session, which was led by Eric Burton of Factor 5. Thanks to the town staff, Director Jenkins and Manager Shaw for participating and lending their thoughts and expertise to the process. I think we have a good document a document and a plan to move forward. This week sees a few more chamber meetings and then prep for what looks like is going to be a very busy September, so lots going on. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Councillor Bates?
Kind of getting repetitive. I attended the Autumn Grove dedication. It was a nice ceremony, beautiful facility. Also went to Horseshoe Night. I know enough now not to challenge the mayor, I'm pretty sure. I did get a ringer. It was early, and I couldn't repeat the feat. I also went to the Mountain View Golf that was announced a few weeks back at Bowden, and it was good that two of our public works folks were there. I think they got a chance to rub shoulders with some of their fellow workers from other communities. One of the things I heard there, just sitting at the dinner afterwards, was about some of the challenges that some of the communities that seemingly have unlimited housing getting built as bedroom communities for Calgary, their local builders are falling by the wayside and quality is becoming quite a concern. I did notice in the Alberta Municipalities bulletin from, I think it came out this morning, but that the Kinsman Playground Partnership with Innisfail was mentioned, which is kind of neat. This week, MPC is canceled. And way off onto Saturday, I hope to see the Hillside Vibes that was rescheduled.
Perfect, thank you. And Councillor Heistad?
Thanks, Your Worship. I was at Horseshoes. I wasn't very good. I was actually terrible. I did get a ringer, but that was about it. That was once, and then I was terrible. I wanted to quit right away. Because that's what happens when you get too competitive. As to the villages tomorrow night, the meeting's tomorrow night at 7. I look to be there, Councillor Bates. Just so you know, I won't call you emergency. I'm in the hospital. And the only other thing that I did want to mention, I sent an email to all of us about a possible emergent resolution on the renewables. And I just sent a quick email. And I was just wondering, I know that we're in AP, or this is our AP meeting, but if that's something that we can discuss in our open council next Monday. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. And I was at Autumn Grove grand opening, the outdoor market at the Legion last Tuesday. I had to think about that for a second. And Horseshoe Club, you can just call me three-ringer Barclay would be fine, but just saying. But no, it was lots of fun. Glad we went. One thing that, and this isn't urgent, but I've always found it a bit peculiar that we are in Towns East with Alberta Municipalities when we're on the west side of the QE2. And I know I asked, I think Dan Root about it one time at Alberta Munis and said, well, send a letter and if you'd like to change. And it just seems like our alignment would be with Towns West a little bit more so than Towns East. We'd be aligned with Bowden and Penhold and Rocky Mountain House and Sylvan Lake and Rimbey, Eckville sort of thing, with Towns East where Ponoka, Black Falls are really the closest two communities. Certainly nothing against our rep Trina, she's great, but I'm curious if council has a desire to see if we can move into Towns West with the rest of the communities on the west side of the QE2. Councillor Bates?
Sounds totally logical.
Councillor Heistad?
Yeah, I think this was discussed years ago too, so I don't know why it's such a big change, honestly. Like, why it would be, should be easy, in my mind.
Yeah, I don't know
So,
how we got there, not
So-
sure. CEO Becker, do you know how we got there?
Do not, Mayor Barclay. I just wonder though, I think there's a lot of communities, towns within each zone. I wonder if there's room to explore another zone, central zone.
Well, it's either that or south, right, with Olds. I mean, there's only east, west, and south, correct?
Just the,
CO Becker, were you asking about creating a new one?
yeah, that's.
Oh,
with ourselves.
okay, sorry.
Yeah, I just
Okay,
wonder if there's
sorry.
opportunity
Okay.
to go to AM and say, you know what, there's geographical differences, there's a lot to take on by one representative.
Yeah.
Well, why not add another zone, from, you know, Airdrie to Leduc or something, I'm not sure.
Well, even a little smaller in central
Smaller,
Alberta.
but yeah.
You know, and I do know, we actually have a South Central Mayor's Group meeting coming up next week in Drumheller, and I could have that put on the agenda to see what people think about that, because I know there's some discussion right now about kind of representation for communities our size that is missing. From Alberta communities, you know, the reps are fine, but they're from small communities or towns that are probably more so cities, and there's really not representation for communities that are, you know, that 3,000 to 10,000 sort of thing. We know the Mid-Sized Cities Caucus they get a couple of days with all the ministers. The Big Cities Mayor's Caucus gets days with the ministers, and we don't get anything. So there's discussion being led actually by Mayor Hunter around this idea that we need to have more of a voice, and maybe, I don't know, would that create another board position? Like, perhaps, yeah. Anyway, no, I like your thought. Sorry, I thought you meant on this list. Let's move to central. I thought, well, there is no central. Yeah. Okay. Okay, well, I can have some discussion with some colleagues about that and see what they think and bring it back. So, like I said, nothing urgent. Councillor Bates?
Yeah, I was just noticing, just going down, looking at the villages in the west zone, Alex. Like, that's strange too, isn't it? You know, compared to
Yeah,
where
it's
they
east,
are,
yeah.
compared to us.
Yeah.
So I think that discussion is definitely warranted.
Yeah, when I brought it up, somebody was quite surprised. We were actually located on the west side of the QE2. They were not aware of that. So anyway, we will carry on with that conversation and see where it goes. So we will have a motion now to please go in camera.
Mayor Barclay, I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?